Hey everyone, it's Kale from Scud Style again. I'm bringing part 4 of the NoFap Literature series. And this one's a little bit different. The first 3 books I put on you can definitely find on Amazon. I posted links for them if you guys can't find them. I obviously really appreciate you purchasing through those links. If you choose to, it supports at no extra cost to you. But if you don't, wherever you find them, if you find them in your local bookstore, that's great too. But they're kind of not popular titles, so but this one I isn't a book that I found published, but it is. I have found the digital version online as a PDF, and it is called the Practice, and it's really tiny because it's long, and I printed it out in pretty small print. But Practice of Brahmacharya by Sri Swami Sivananda, right? A Divine Life Society publication. The first edition came out in 1934, and the 8th edition 1980, and the first revised edition in 1988, and the World Wide Web edition, which we're looking at, 1997. So this thing is pretty long. Like I said, I printed out the text pretty small, so that it would only be, for me, I wrote the page numbers down for myself. It's 64 pages long, but it's pretty dense, which is good for those of us who want all this kind of access to information. And so I will try to find it again online and post a link for it. And so this one you can just look at online. You can print it out for yourself, or you can just read it online. But without further ado, just go kind of through the contents with you guys here. Section 1, the phenomenon of sex, the present-day degradation of it. And this is an Indian book, so there's cultural things that are also very relevant in India and the teachers of India and things like that. But this is obviously translated, and it's translated very well to English. The world is all sexy, the idea of sex pervading culture. And Brahmacharya comes up right away because it's all about Brahmacharya. So Section 2 is the working of the sex impulse, intensity of the cravings in different persons, sex is in imagination, the disastrous effects of sexual indulgence, the value of semen, things like that. So we will go briefly into just all of these things. The meaning of Brahmacharya, the glory of Brahmacharya, the importance of celibacy in spiritual life, Brahmacharya for householders. If you are in a family, if you do have a wife, kids, things like that, how does Brahmacharya play a role in your life? Because obviously it's different than someone who's choosing the solo celibate life. Women in Brahmacharya and the educational curriculum, some ideal Brahmacharis, suppression and sublimation, to marry or not to marry, is celibacy even possible? All these things, wet dreams, the role of diet and sex control, stop that lustful look. So this is much more. I talked about the other ones being a lot of the books I had talked about previously. In part 1, Brain Gain had a little bit kind of Eastern meets Western, but the parts 2 and 3 were much more Western science-based books. This one is very much Eastern. So I thought it'd be cool to have like a little smattering of all the things. Some powerful aids to the practice of celibacy: control the palate, avoid bad company, watch the thoughts, and then some other spiritual practices in there. Hatha Yoga, there's some Hatha Yoga section, some illustrative stories, and then the paramount importance of Brahmacharya, and outlook of consciousness, and what does it mean, birth control, marriage, etc., etc. So I'm going to take you through this, but there's a lot of stuff in here, so I'm only going to be touching on it. And again, since this one is free, assuming that I can still find it out there for you guys, but I gave you the title and stuff like that, so if I'm unable to find it, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. But I'll put a link down below, just like I have been with the other ones. Initially, he who has completely eradicated lust and is established in mental Brahmacharya is Brahman, or God himself. So, cool, but easier said than done. Right? The world is all sexy, slave to passion. Lions cohabit only once a year. The sexual degradation that has overtaken mankind today is due directly to the fact that people have assumed that there's a natural sexual instinct in human beings. It is not so. The natural instinct is the procreative one. You have an instinct to procreate. We don't and pass on our genes, right? Survival and then replication. We don't necessarily have an instinct to just to have sex for the sake of having sex, recreational sex. Because what we find is that it's taxing, right? So the trade-off better be pretty good, aka passing your genes along, surviving, immortality, all those things. All right. Eradication of lust is no easy task. Yes, true. Lust cannot be completely rooted out of the mind except by the grace of God. So however spiritual you are and all this kind of stuff, it takes work to get rid of these societal impulses and things like that. We can say initially we have an impulse for procreation, but in present-day society, sex is very much a pervasive part of our culture, and overcoming that is very difficult. Lust in men and in women, sex and imagination. Yeah, so I'm just going to go through and point it, because there's so much stuff in here, I'll never be able to get to all of it. I'm just going to point out things where I made little notes. Those who have lost much of their virya have become irritable. And if anyone's noticed the irritable effect when you're kind of depleted and all that kind of stuff, yeah, this book obviously speaks to that. Here you go for something a little bit more quantitative for you guys. The energy that is wasting during one sexual intercourse is tantamount to the energy that is spent in physical labor for 10 days, or the energy that is utilized in mental work for 3 days. So let that sink in for a second. That's a lot of energy, just, and a lot of times just to throw it away for no reason, without a partner, without some kind of loving interaction. So even in that context, it's a big spend, but without it, it's just, very wasteful. It even says most of your ailments are due to excessive seminal wastage. 1 drop of semen is manufactured out of 40 drops of blood. The value of semen. Yep, semen nourishes the physical body, the heart, and the intellect. Falling of semen brings death. Preservation of semen gives life. Semen is the real vitality in men. It is the hidden treasure in man. It imparts strength to the intellect. There you go. The Srutas declare a full life or age of 100 years for a man. Right? So if the average age of a man in the United States is 76 years old, or something similar, then we are falling well short of that. Is that related to that? Among other things, yeah. Is our health perfect? Are our habits perfect? Otherwise, aside from sex, no. But that's such a massive one that most people in the West just consider to be healthy, actually. Western doctors are saying that it's healthy, do it as much as you want. Yeah, the eye is the window of the mind. If the mind is pure and calm, the eye is also calm and steady. He who is established in Brahmacharya will have lustrous eyes, a sweet voice, and a beautiful complexion. So when I talked, again, I mentioned I did a semen retention and ojas video about a year ago. And I talk about that. I talked about my experience with my eyes, my skin. I healed an eye prescription. I was given a eye prescription for glasses or for contacts, and I retained for 60 days, full retention, and went back in and took a test and could see a whole other line I couldn't see, and the prescription was gone. So I have anecdotal evidence to that, but there are all kind of cases where they claim that. It's not an accident. Continence increases infinitely the power of retentive memory, and through Brahmacharya, get over the miseries of mundane life and attain health, strength, peace of mind, endurance, bravery, material progress, psychic advancement, and immortality. One who has the perfect control over the sexual energy attains powers unattainable by any other means. Therefore, dissipate not thy energy in sensual pleasures. Conserve thy energy. Do noble deeds and practice meditation. You will soon be a Superman. You will commune with God and attain divinity. So before we talked about superpowers, we talked about being Superman. So anyway, this book is long and it's full of things like this, but I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a taste of it. I highly recommend it. It should be free. I will try to post a link. Part 4. Hope you guys enjoy it, and best of luck to everyone on their journey. Thank you.